Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. Well, here we are, we're a couple of weeks into the new year. Same as the old, seems to be getting worse, not better. Hatred, bigotry, other forms of stupidity seem to be dominating, and it's hard to believe, but there may actually only be one world leader hated by almost everybody, but a friend where it matters the most, who has been right about an awful lot of the things so far, but who has the courage to stand and call this idiocy out for what it is. Now, I know it's a lot to ask for, but let's hope one day reason, common sense, and intelligence will persevere again in this new year. Now, change is on the horizon. The month changes, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And the not-so-secret oligarch club will be meeting next week, and they don't realize that they had somebody opposed to their complete way of reworking the world. But aren't you also getting tired of that word oligarch? It's a new throw-around word for a new group to hate. Not that a new group is ever really needed while there are still Jews alive to hate. And it should be quite interesting to see what comes from Davos this year. Do not expect anything positive, supportive, or for the benefit of mankind. They are the 21st century Pharaoh, no different than the one we are reading about now in this book of names, and which we have actually been fighting for the last 3,000 years. Now, we're hardly into the year, and so far, it isn't very new until we make it new. So everybody do something to make it a new year for yourself. But it hasn't taken long for a Jew-hating lunatic shouting a torrent of anti-Semitic abuse at a young couple who were out walking their 4 children in Brooklyn, screaming, "I'm going to kill you, Jews," before punching the dad. Now, according to law enforcement, court records, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office requested $50,000 cash bail, but the equally anti-Semitic judge cut them loose on their own release. This is a scene being replayed all over North America right now. This is at the same time as a synagogue in Jackson, Mississippi, was set on fire during the Shabbat service. And it wasn't the only one, but you don't hear a lot about any of them. The brutal attack on Jews is happening everywhere, and I don't hear a lot of voices calling it out as unacceptable or demanding that it cease. If it were against anybody else, we would never hear the end of it. If it were a church, well, these days, looking at Nigeria, that may be okay, but God forbid it were a mosque instead. But no group should be subjected to this kind of public hatred, and the world should shout in unison for it to cease when any one group is targeted. And in Canada, we actually have a member of parliament who wants to introduce a bill to have an investigation of any Canadian who was served in the IDF. Boy, there's nothing like expanding the anti-Semitic witch hunts, while this brilliant politician, of course, doesn't think it singles out Jews in any way. Nothing should surprise anyone anymore. Just take a look down south of the border. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing cases on whether men should be allowed in women's sports after women fought so hard to have their sports segregated from men. And 2 doctors, one an OBGYN, refused to answer whether biological men could get pregnant. You know, I hate to say it, but my dog knows the answer to that one. Please, God, let common sense return. Now, I said last month, changes, and it does. It changes next week also. Now, we know the Chinese year will be changing on the next new moon. And we're now entering the new moon of Aquarius. And the first order that God gave man was to observe and celebrate the new moon. It's even more powerful when it's a new year too, which next month, of course, is. It doesn't have to be your new year. It's the Chinese New Year, but it's powerful because it represents a new beginning. Now, Aquarius, the month that we're just about to enter, is the Hebrew month of Shvat. And it can be confusing because the Torah does not actually give names to months. They simply count them from Nisan, which the Torah tells us is the first month, the month of Aries, because the cycle of months followed the cycle of the stars, the zodiac. Putting Rosh Hashanah and supplanting Nisan as the beginning of the year aside for a moment, that would make Shvat the 11th month, and that is why it is the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about blessings of abundance and dreams, new life, as we see new life starting as the sun gets stronger, It speaks of the dissemination of divine instruction from the heavens to the world, as the water-bearer image, pouring out wisdom from the stars to the earth. And the month Shvat also represents a saying in Hebrew, Shenishma v'surot tovot, Shvat. We should be blessed to share good tidings. And I know you are all in for good tidings, and may we all be so blessed. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. 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 Harmony and understanding. Sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehood or derision. Golden dreams of vision. Mystic crystal revelation. And the mind's true liberation. Aquarius. From here. Now the month and the year just started. Make a wish. It will come true. You can control everything that goes on in your life. Anything can happen. You never know what the divine plan of your life may entail. It entails much more than you know. Now, without knowing it, without realizing it, an old shepherd was handpicked to deliver the promise of freedom. And we all have that same ability to constantly free ourselves from the limitations we impose, which is what this entire book that we're reading about is about. Let's not limit ourselves now as we celebrate our coming together, as we do as a like-minded group, to honor and pray and observe as a community, a collective consciousness of seekers showing faith, any and all faith, because all are accepted, love any and all love, because all love is accepted, true chavura, a fellowship expressing our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that does unite us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay. And even though together, we're always individual in our approach, each connecting in his or her or their own way. So once again, please do go ahead. Invite everybody, some physically, the rest digitally, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, to gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. We support each other in this community. So let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Remember, friends, this is you setting aside a little bit of sacred time in your sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in, because we all actually do believe in something. That's a part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It's your goodwill. And goodwill and intention are the roots of what you control, of what you can connect and correct. Because you're connected to everything in the universe at all times. And it is your intention that sets in motion everything that occurs in your lives. It's goodwill. It's energy. It's light. It's whatever you want to call it that we send to help heal those who need healing. Healing and renewal is for everybody because it just floats through space finding those in need. So send it out for those you know, for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. So think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people. It's for our pets. It's for the earth. It is the healing of the world. The tikkun olam. It's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. And a part of the healing of the world is when we send thoughts and energy for health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick. It is the prayer for the sick. But it's for anybody in your hearts or your minds that you want to send out healing energy for, renewal energy for. It's for people in need everywhere. And always special thoughts and prayers go to those in need of assistance. We pray for those who need prayer. We don't have to know them because we want health, recovery, good life, and decency for everybody around us, for those close to us. For Jane and George. George tends to run yellow lights. For the fairy godmother. who we still hope escapes her emotional disappointments and enters a new time of love, of life, and joy. For my paraspecial doctors, to whom I am so grateful. For Alan, Corey, for Sherry, Tristan and Laura, for my special study group. For Gabby, for the Earthbound Virgo Club, for Eleanor and Payas, for dear Marty, for MW and the Snooposaurus, for Bonnie, for Dreaming Carson, for Ruth, Roberta, for Shelley and Jeffy, for Winston and Inura, dear friends, I love them so much, for Alana, who I hope to see soon, John and Fern, get well, for Maria and John, for Doria, Gloria, for Connie and Ronnie, for Tally and Maya, for Nina and Danny, for Dale and Stephen, for all those people who actually are suffering, and for all those in need. Let's not forget to include all the familiars of our lives, all our sacred animal friends everywhere, for everybody you know in need, for the whole world, and for Rosemary. We pray for those who need prayer. The world needs prayer now more than ever, and it just seems it needs it more all the time. It is the kindness, the healing wishes, the goodwill, and it's the love we all send out. It just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care, because the world is a world of spirit, and spirit, my friends, never does die. Me, Shabbat, Avotenu, Makor Chal Bracha, Limotenu, may the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Misha Baruch, let us all have our spirits renewed. And it's much easier for people connect to the concept of spirit than anything else, because they don't have to believe in God to still believe in spirit. And this is, of course, the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal as he has healed before. Misha Baruch means may he who blessed, because all healing is a blessing. So let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. Now, we crossed a line last week when we began this new book. It's so different from the others. We were told it is the book of names. That didn't mean a lot, but it will as we read further. This week alone, we find out a little bit more about Moses and about Aaron, his brother. We have our first introduction to the magic wand of Aaron that's going to play such a dominant role in parts to come. God introduces himself to the world with the most powerful calling card of all time. He'd introduced himself to Moses through fire, but he's going to introduce himself to the world with what is still reverberating to this day as we read about the first 7 plagues of Egypt. And we all know the 10 plagues. Now you're going to get your first glimpse, your first inkling, your first hint at a promised land. And you know what? You each do have a promised land. We all do. We think of the Exodus. We think of 3 things, like a great book, play, or film, which all have an introduction, a climax, and a finale. All stories have that. And in this story, it has it too. And they might be the plagues, the splitting of the Red Sea, and the Great Epiphany, which was the giving of the 10 Commandments. And I think that makes a pretty good introduction, climax, and finale. Now, you could do an entire book on those 3 things alone. Part of our introduction is today, as we read Va'era, and I appeared. Exodus 6:2. And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am Yahweh, and I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai. I was not known to them by my name, Yahweh. And I shall take you to me as a people, and I shall become your God. And you'll know that I am Yahweh, your God, who is bringing you out from under Egypt's burdens. Now, we ended last week with Moses undertaking a job he did not want. He's 80 years old. He thinks he's at the end of life, not the beginning of life. This reading is filled with wonder, but it emphasizes that it is never too late to bring the changes you need to bring into your life. We now have two octogenarians meeting with Pharaoh. Friends, we change and evolve throughout life. Career change takes place most often now for people between 40 and 50 years old. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they've learned they'd rather be doing something else. Maybe they were downsized. But the lesson is, it is never too late. Now, Sam Walton began Walmart when he was 44. Colonel Sanders began franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was 62. Duncan Hines didn't write his first cookbook till he was 55. Ray Kroc was over 50 when he met the McDonald brothers. Ronald Reagan switched from acting to politics, running for governor at 54. Arnold the Terminator did the same thing at 56. And Grandma Moses began painting at 77. The process is laid out for us in Exodus 7:1. The Lord said to Moses, "See, I made you a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother will be your prophet. You shall speak everything that I'll command you to Pharaoh, that he let the children of Israel go from this land. And I'll harden Pharaoh's heart, and I'll multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh won't listen to you. And I'll set my hand in Egypt and bring out my masses, my people, and the children of Israel from the land of Egypt with great judgments, and Egypt will know that I am Yahweh when I reach out my hand on Egypt, and I'll bring out the children of Israel from among them." The dominant theme of Exodus, the Lord's becoming known, is connected explicitly here to the rescue from slavery and to the judgments that will occur in Egypt. And it will continue to be stated several times as a reason for the miraculous plagues. And Moses spoke in front of Yahweh, saying, "Here, the children of Israel, they didn't listen to me. How will Pharaoh listen to me? I'm uncircumcised of lips." Now, we've been taught, and there is a fantastic Midrash story, which I've talked about before, that Moses had a speech impediment, like much worse than a stutter. It's accepted as a fact, hence the need for him to have his brother Aaron as his spokesperson. But I've also said we look for common words or terms, like we did with Tavad, the box that held Moses and the bigger box that held Noah. And the only common term we find here is for foreign speaking. Moses did not have a speech impediment. It is far more likely that Moses did not speak the language, which speaks to his background as an Egyptian. And the uncircumcised of lips is another of the obscure references in this section, as in two different instances. There's reference to circumcision of the heart, the organ of understanding and connection, and with the lips we speak the things in our hearts. See, all these little connections are hidden throughout all of these things. Exodus 6:29. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "I am Yahweh. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything that I speak to you." Now, the great meeting is going to take place. Moses is going to ask Pharaoh, allow the people to go. He wants them to go away for 3 days to do some honoring. With everything you read, be open to the myriad of possibilities as to what something may also really mean. We're going to see that today, as we do every time we get together and read from this great book. It's not always what it appears to be. We see right away, and Moses demonstrated quickly, the people were not going to listen to him. Things were not as simple as it appeared. After his first chat with Pharaoh, Pharaoh ordered the people to make bricks without giving them straw. Not so easy a task. Now with this, Moses is more determined now than ever to not be the spokesperson for God. He just sees himself as a failure, a poor choice. He never wanted this gig. But you know what, my friends? We actually spend much of our lives making bricks without straw. Your doubts, your fears, that's what keeps you in slavery. You face a situation which seems hopeless. What can you do? You find a way. Persevering, overcoming. That, my friends, is making bricks without straw. But even when things seem dark, God makes a way where there is no way. That is faith. That is one of the great lessons in this book. So let's now free ourselves from the tyrants of negative thinking. We've been slaves to doubts, fears, and apprehensions our whole lives. Let us be delivered. As Moses delivered the children of Israel, let us come out of the land of bondage, the land of constraint, out of Egypt. We've all seen the film, believe we were there. We were told for millennia that we were all there. Exodus 7:3. And I'll harden Pharaoh's heart, and I'll multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh won't listen to you. And I'll set my hand in Egypt, bring out the masses. Egypt will know that I am the Lord. We're about to begin the most important part of Exodus, the announcement from God to the world of who he is. Now, this is telling us there's a greater force at work. You're going to see several times that even when Pharaoh wants to let the people go, God prevents it. He will use the same phrase many times, that about hardening the heart. Pay attention to the times you see this phrase and note who brings about the heaviness. A few times it's specific, a few times it is not. But go back to what God said he would do earlier. He would harden Pharaoh's heart. And why? At no point is it ever said that this was done for punishment. This is purely done as God's introduction of himself, to the world. We are taught that Pharaoh was mean. He would not let the people go. That this was karma for how the Egyptians were treating the Israelites. No. This was of a design. This was God's introduction. Which is what God said he was going to do, and what I keep reminding you. Pardon me. And what an introduction it is. Exodus 7:17, the Lord said this, by this you'll know I am Yahweh. I'm striking with the staff that's in my hand by the waters that are on the Nile, and they will be changed into blood. We now have our first of the 10 plagues, blood. Now notice a few things, because these are going to come up again and again. It's going to make you question some of what you've been taught in the past. There is an emphasis on the magnitude of what is being done. And that's brought up by giving weight, mass to things. Constant references to Pharaoh's heart being heavy. Later we're going to read about the weight on Moses for carrying a nation on his shoulders. Notice also the elevation of Moses. There is a danger in the elevation of Moses to a god. God says he's making him a god to Egypt and Aaron his prophet. And that comes up again later. This alone adds to the myth of the man. Notice Moses is to repeat, not interpret, the words of God. And this is going to come up because every law will be predicated on the belief God said those words to Moses. Notice the confession. God will control Pharaoh's actions and reactions. God will harden Pharaoh's heart so that he won't let the people go, even when he is prepared to. This is the introduction of the 10 plagues. And it's actually the perfect time to use the name of God. Not by this you'll know I am the Lord. Instead, you would read it as, by this you'll know I am the one who causes being. Because that's what the name of God meant. He who causes to be. And that says it all. These now are the plagues of Egypt. Makot Mitzrayim. And the story of the plagues, the leaving Egypt, the Epiphany, is the story of our lives. And today we're going to read about the verse 7 of the famous 10 plagues, the calling guard of God and making his presence known to man. We fight these plagues still to this day. Now in reality, you only need one plague. Several of the plagues were enough to wipe out Egypt by themselves, so why 10? Well, that has to do with numbers and hidden meanings, but it's not for this discussion. You're going to see they progress in certain ways. The first 3 deal really more with inconveniences, almost like a setup of what's to come. Blood is the first plague. God is changing the water of the Nile into blood. Blood is to man what the Nile was to Egypt, the vessel of the life force. The Torah is filled with the constant warnings about the consumption of blood. Life flows through blood. It is sacred. The blood of Abel called out to God from the land after Cain killed him. All life is born from and needs water. One of the three ingredients for life we honor every Sabbath when we give thanks with a glass of wine or juice or any other liquid. In fact, all three of the things we thank God for, and which are the three things that keep us alive, food, water, and light, are represented in the plagues. But first and foremost, with no hydration, we die. With no water, there's no food, there's no growth. It's not just thirst. The fish die. There's a complete disruption of the natural order of things. The second is frogs, which remind us that, of the warts we encounter in life. The third plague is lice. They don't kill you, but they're bloodsuckers. Then a heavy insect swarm came to Pharaoh's house and his servant's house. And in all the land of Egypt, the land was corrupted because of the insect swarm. Here we get that term, heavy and swarm. Starting with the insect swarm, several plagues now join the stream of elements in the narrative that are described as heavy. And you can almost feel the weight of all of these things. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time. So our fourth plague is an insect swarm. It's a horde. Now in today's world, that's the mob. But you notice it doesn't affect Goshen, where the Israelites are. So we see now a distinction between the two groups. Not so simple to account for like the Nile or the frogs, which affects everybody. But the hidden theme of the Bible is front and center right here, and that is separation, division, distinction, as in creation, as in laws, and sadly, as in today's world where we are separating groups more now than ever before. In fact, this is one of the most dangerous plagues of all. In several instances in the Torah, we are told the dangers of swarming creatures. That is the warning of the mob mentality. And I mention it a lot because I do fear it. We've all seen the death and destruction the mob can bring and still does. We thought it might have ended with the Holocaust. It is continuing and it is getting worse because social media makes it easier. The fifth plague is described as a cattle disease. Now, once again, the term used is a very heavy epidemic. And again, cattle die, but not Israelite cattle. And we are told Pharaoh's heart was heavy, and he did not let the people go. The letting the people go is, of course, the exercise of individual freedom, being released from the bonds that hold us. What we have fought for our entire lives and still fight for, and never give up that fight for freedom, my friends. Our sixth plague comes from furnace ash. It's thrown in the sky, so when it falls back down, it causes boils. It is the only use of furnace and ash in the entire Bible, and to some, it is a warning of events to come, such as the Holocaust. The contagion causes boils. Boils show visible differences on people and can be, therefore, something that leads to discrimination due to looks. Now, the black dust from the kiln turns into broadcast contamination. Get a little 2020 there. It's a plague clearly paired with the preceding plague of livestock pestilence, but this one affects man as well as beast. It'll be followed by a fiery hail just in case anything survives. See, nothing can survive. But now, we've got weapons of the chemical dust. To fire them, we're forced to. Then fire them we must. One push of the button in a shot worldwide. Never ask questions when God's on your side. Now that's the never sung verse of With God on Our Side by Dylan. And don't we all think God is actually on our side? Exodus 9:12. The Lord strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not listen to them. Now you're now being reminded who is causing Pharaoh to have a hardened heart. It is God. He does not let Pharaoh relent. He does not let Pharaoh let the people go. And Pharaoh does many times want to let the people go. So Pharaoh, the slave keeper, is in fact a slave to God. He can only do what God has him do. He has no free will of his own. Exodus 9:16. In fact, I establish you for this purpose, for the purpose of showing you my power, and in order to tell my name in all the earth. All of these plagues can wreak havoc on the food chain, as can the seventh, the fiery hail, which mixes fire and water. That destroyed whatever crops of the field of Egypt is left, and without food there is death. Any one of these was enough. But there is more to come. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred, so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to say to everybody you know, goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we're a community. We learn together, we celebrate with each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. So let's all send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. Please do learn to forgive. Learn to love, including yourself. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life and tell those you love that you love them. Examine your intention. Use them to imprint your will on the universe, because we set in motion all that happens in our lives. It is our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect. Everything is linked. You always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness. But always do so with sincerity, with accountability, with vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you. You learn to be forgiving and compassionate in life, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, in the world just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So keep on dreaming, my friends. Keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. We're constantly teaching each other. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always in front of you. Work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet your mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness, in your ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. Love with the heart, because we are all part of a greater whole. We are far connected to each other. Embrace love, not fear. Forgiveness, not anger. Be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. And most of the time we don't know it. Continue to explore faith and belief, and never accept shame as a natural state. Whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you've experienced, others have too. Because we share together, we learn together, we help each other. We are each of us trying to find love, acceptance, support. It's all we want out of life. We all have or could have that special someone in our lives, so find them, tell them what they mean. You're never alone on your journey. Listen to the voice of God as he talks to you, and remember your connection to God and all that's been created in body and soul and mind and spirit, above and below. It's all a part of you. It's a part of me. It's a part of all of us together forever. Now we've taken a big step. You may not have noticed. That's because what the book is really about is the road to freedom. This is all about the now story of our trying to get to our promised land, our freedom. A road that many of us are still on. Most people have never completed this, and most people are still stuck on that road. Many a mile to freedom, many a smile to tell. Ask my bluebird to sing you from the heart of a wishing well. If you should ask me to give you the reason for life that we know, then together we flow like a river. Together we melt like the snow. And friends, we do flow like a river. All of us together. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Shabbat Shalom. And blessings to you all. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.